Welcome once again, everyone. My name is Mtanyelwa, co-founder and partner of Empowerment for Women, for Entrepreneurs, and also the capacity to do activations at events. Welcome and thank you for choosing to join the digital conversations hosted by Empowerment. It is a monologue and your mics will be muted and your videos sometimes. The views of the speakers are theirs and not those of Empowerment. We are just providing a platform for these crucial talks during this lockdown period. We would like to thank the speakers firm for organizing the speakers. This is the second of the talks that we have had today. There will be two more others during the course of the day. I'll introduce the topic as well as the speaker a little bit later. Why did Empowerment create this platform, especially during this lockdown period? It is a view, and we wish to change the narrative from pointing a finger at men to inviting men to play their part in finding sustainable solutions to the social challenge of equality, to equip men to rise above the stereotypes, the status quo, and become holistically great men. We hope to inspire men to fight for the right reasons, stand up for all the right things, and unapologetically embrace all it means to be a man. And lastly, to provide an inclusive platform that challenges every person who calls himself male, no matter their position in life, sexual preference, stature, or nature, to become an active agent of change at home, at work, and in their community. I would like to welcome everybody that is joining us live on the following digital platforms: EmpowerWorks, YouTube, Instagram, Empowerment at Empowerment, Twitter at Empowerment, Facebook at Empowerment, and many of you that sent your request to our WhatsApp line 082 088 5262 to directly connect with us via Zoom, and also the ability to also visit our website to register your details. This afternoon, like we have always done, the hashtag is I am Empowerment. The next speaker that is coming up is Joshua Mtanyelwa. He's a speaker and the founder of Men of Purpose. His topic today is going to be the boy child and endangered species. Over to you, Joshua.
Thank you very much, Saba, and greetings to everyone who's watching and who are participating in this talk. For me, this is one of the topics that is in my heart. It's one of those topics that really moves me to do something. It's one of those topics that since 2004, I chose to go this way through our organization called Men of Purpose. In 2004, we started an organization called Men of Purpose in trying to reach out to a boy child. And I must say, as we're engaging with boys and doing research around the issues of a boy child, we realize that maybe we're throwing the statement that a boy child is an endangered species. That's hence the topic today: a boy child and endangered species. But maybe first, maybe let me paint a picture. Where is the boy child is in our society right now? That puts him in danger, that puts him at risk in many ways than one. And we know that since our independence, we're trying to empower women and girls. We even take a girl child to work. But as much as we're doing something for a girl child, in a process, we're disadvantaging a boy child, because there's nothing that is directly to a boy child to say, how do we help a boy child? How do we empower a boy child so that we'll have a balanced society and a society that we grow together? But let me just give you a little bit picture about a boy child. Based on the research, a boy child is more likely to quit school at grade 10, because a boy child, when he's in school, he finds the school to be not for him, or maybe the activities are limited that he finds himself cannot be able even to participate. And he finds schools is not something for him, and he quit schools. Maybe school does not speak to his masculinity, and he quit schools. And it has been shown that even in university, is more girls that are registering in university compared to a boy child, and it's more boys that are quitting at universities. But think about it: if we have a society like this of boys who are not staying at school, of boys who quit schools, so what will happen is that this boy child will quit at grade 10, and the girl child will continue and go to university, and he will go to university and he will study and have educational power, financial power. He come back to his society and he finds this boy who was with him in school, then they get married. The only power that he has is physical. He does not have financial power and no educational power. And if they have problems, he will use the power that is exposed to him, which is physical power. So I think we have a challenge to say, how do we develop a balanced society? But the other thing that has been said is that you will find more likely a boy child to be in a special schools. My son is in a special school, but what I find out in that special school is that there's more boys than girls. So I find that boys, most of them, they will have problem with learning difficulties, and it's not only where my son goes, but even in other schools where find that they, in those special schools, that you find that there are more boys more than a girl. But also you find mostly that boys will be admitted in rehabilitation centers than girls. It seems in a society with the issues of drugs, especially this heroin drug, nyaupe, it's more boys who are affected by that drug. So a boy is an endangered species in many ways than one. But also, you'll find more boys in prison. In 2004, 2005, I went to Johannesburg prison to empower prisoners there. And when I got there, the Johannesburg prison then had about 12,000 inmates, and 11,000 of those were men. Only 1,000 that were women. And in the group that I was interacting with, was to this day to have trained almost about 30,500 of these inmates. 95% of these inmates that were in prison, they were in prison because of their fathers, whether it's an absent father, whether it's a father who's abusive, but they find themselves being in prison because of other males. So there's more males in prisons, or there's more boys in prison. If you go to juveniles, it's heartbreaking to see those young men in prison and being incarcerated there, that they should be outside in the society and building our economy, helping us in our society. But also the other thing is that when coming to suicide, it is more girls that attempt suicide, but it is more boys that succeed in attempt because they're using more violent ways of committing suicide. So hence, you find more boys who succeed in committing suicide. So where we are, boys, we find them being endangered in many ways than one. And there are a lot of things that we could look in terms of why this boy is happening like that. If you look where we are in terms of the urban areas where we are, and it shows that at birth it is boys that dies compared to a girl child. But also, when boys become toddlers, when boys become toddlers, they play in dangerous areas like sewages, dams, and all. It's likely the boy child would die in that situation because he plays in a very dangerous areas. And when they turn 14, those boys will play in. When they turn 14, they join gangs, and when they join gangs, they're likely to die in that group of gangs because it's a violent society. And they go to these gangs because they want affirmation. They go to that gangs because somebody's affirming them in a negative way. But also, what we've realized is that when they turn maybe 21, they become young adults. They join the taxi industry, and in that taxi, they die more in those. Maybe they join the mining industry. In those mining industries, they die more. But also, we find boys playing extreme sports, which puts them in danger. and we find them dying even more. So today we've got less men compared to women because a boy child is an endangered species. But let's kick back and look back at history. Where do we come from with this problem of a boy child? And if you can see back in history, if people will go to the battle, they will use men to go to battles. They use young men to go to battle. They'll use boys to go to battle. So since time immemorial, men has been endangered species, or boys has been endangered species. But let me give a little bit background on South African history. Through colonization and apartheid. When apartheid came in and colonization came in, they introduced the migrant labor. And they found that black people had their own system of how do they raise boys. They had their own system, how do they help boys to grow up to be men. The way those system, you know that as a young boy, where do you belong? As a young adult, where you belong. But there will be people that will be mentoring and coaching you in those things. So when colonization came in, what it did, it destroyed all those social structures. That men did not have a place, or boys did not have a place where they are being mentored or they're being coached. That was taken away, especially from black people. So what happened is that the migrant labor pushed or forced the men to leave their families to go to the mines to go and work there. So the boys will grow without fathers. So that created absent fathers. So they will grow without their fathers, and these men will work in the mines, and they will come once in a year. Either in December, they will go back home, and after they've worked for 12 months. But this situation of migrant labor created angry fathers. And those angry fathers, because they were mistreated in those mines, they were called by young males, they called them boys, they were calling them all these names. That made them angry. They could not do anything. They could not retaliate, because their masters were calling them names. But when they go back home, then they will release their anger to their wives and to their sons. And hence these boys will suffer in the hands of their fathers, because the father could not hit a white man, but when he goes back, because you see the mothers, when the fathers come back home, the mothers will say to their father, hey, your son has killed the goat, or your son was mischievous. And the father is coming with this anger inside of him. What will he do? He was not going to speak to his son. He's going to inflict pain on him violently. But then what registers in the mind of this young man is that for you to solve problem, you need to solve them in a violent way. In that way, we started having more young men thinking violence is the way of solving problem. But migrant labor also created absent fathers, which had resulted in a very negative way of raising up of a young black boy, But also the absence of this father means the absence of many things. One, it is mean the absence of fathering. It will mean the absence of coaching and mentoring from the father. And also it will mean the absence of a good history that the son should be learning from his father. But also it will mean the absence of affirmation. Because it is the duty of the father that he needs to affirm the sexuality of his son. So in the absence of that, who's supposed to be doing that? So boys were left in the limbo. At least girls, their mothers will always be there. But boys were left in the limbo. There were no positive role model, because so most men were in the mines. And men that will come back from the mine, maybe being retired from the mine, they will come and just drinking and those men who are not responsible. Those will be the role models. But also he will miss the affirmation of dreams. Because as a boy, they yearn their fathers to affirm their dreams, to say, I like your dream, young man, and coach him based on his dream. But also they lack the affirmation of their talents. Who's going to affirm their talents? And then our problem started that long time ago. But also, they lack somebody that will affirm their emotions, as boys, to say, crying is okay. It says cowboys, they don't cry, and boys, they don't cry. And we created a nation of people who does not want to accept their feelings, but the presence of those fathers will happen to say, it is good for you to cry. But then we created a society of men says, couples, they don't cry. But they could not affirm them emotionally in terms of their success, to say, be happy because you have been on. But also, it was issues they could not even help them in terms of their failures, because I think it's good for a father to be there to affirm his son, to say, you see, it is okay in life to fail. It is okay in life to have setbacks, but you lack that. That's why I find a lot of boys, they don't know what to do with those emotions, to a point where they commit suicide. So I'm just saying, it is important that we notice that the whole issue of a boy child did not started now. It's something that started long time ago. Even today, there's no focus on the boy child. And we find that most of boys are raised by their mothers. And he goes to school, the teacher is a woman. He goes to church, the Sunday school teacher is a woman. So he finds not having a space where there's men that speaks into his life, that speaks the issues of men, that understand his emotions. So hence we find that a boy child is an endangered species in many ways than one. So we have a challenge, a huge challenge of saying, how do we help our boy child to be able to cope in this changing world? How do we help our boy child to be able to survive in this island? So as an organization, what we came up with 5 pillars that we think they will be able to help a boy child to be able to succeed, and also to help those who's mentoring boy child, or to also helping fathers to say, how do you help your son in this in this 21st century? I remember somebody was telling us a story of elephants in one of the game parks. In these game parks, there were elephants who were very troublesome. And as these elephants were troublesome, they tried different specialists to help these elephants. And all these young bulls were very troublesome. They're breaking the trees, attacking people, breaking the fences, and all those things. They tried every kind of intervention until they find an old man that used to work with this elephant. And when he came to the game park, he asked a question: where is an old bull? Where is an old bull? And they said, why do you want an old bull? They says, no, this old bull that was here will help to teach these young bulls how to behave, how to look for water, how to behave around males, around females, how to behave around the environment. So the absence of this old bull makes this young bulls to behave like this. And my question today is that, where are those old bulls that are successful in every way of their life, to say, how do we mentor a boy child? Where are those successful bulls that are successful in education, in politics, and business, to come back and say, how do we mentor a boy child? So I want to challenge every man to say, you can do something in helping a boy child, because most of boys are growing without fathers. We are a fatherless society. But for us to be able to solve this problem, we need to come up with mentoring program. Where as a man, we have this program in our organization. It's called Brave Squads. For instance, if you are good with chess, you can get 6 boys and bring them together and teach them how to play chess. If you're good with soccer, have a soccer club. But in that soccer, you're not only teaching them soccer, but also teaching them life skills. You also teach them how to survive, how to live in this world. So we have an opportunity as older bulls that are successful or that are sane, to be able to help these young bulls, these African bulls, to be able to behave, so that we can be able to rebuild our country. So these are the 5 pillars that is an organization that we have that will help you to help this boy child. Pillar number 1, we say to a boy child, as much as you brave to break the school, as much as you brave to make all the nonsense in the school, we want you to be brave to have a dream. So pillar number 1, brave to dream. So as older bulls, let's help the boy child to dream. Let's help him, because dreaming is free. Because most of boys, they're no longer dreaming. You ask, I've spoken to many boys and asked them, what do you want to be when you finish school? Most of them will say, I don't know. Or many of them says, I want to be a musician. But I think it will be important to open a scope for boys and says these are the things that you cannot be able to do in life. But they need an older bulls that have seen things in the world to open up more the canteen of the world, so that they may see that there are also other careers in the world. So that you say to this boy, be brave to dream. Because it is only you as a man who could be able to speak to the heart of this boy and says, you can be able to give him a freedom, a permission to be able to dream, whether it's your son or it's your mentee. Tell him to dream. Tell him that the world is his playfield, so that he will think beyond just to do smaller things, but to be able to do greater things. So the pillar number 2, which we teach our mentees, is brave to protect. We say to boys, one of the most fundamental things for you in terms of protection, you need to learn to protect yourself, because you can't give what you don't have. You need to be able to protect yourself. Be brave to protect. When you know how to protect yourself from drugs, when you know how to protect yourself from the social ills, it's easy for you to protect the next person. So it's easy for you to protect women and children, and even protect the environment. If you can see today, if there is an infrastructure, whether it's a municipality infrastructure, whether it's a telephone booth, or it's some gym equipment in the community, it is a boy child that will go and break that. But if we teach a boy child to say, value yourself, protect yourself, that boy child will be able also to value other people. So we teach your mentor says, your mentor says, brave to protect. And the third pillar says, brave to lead. We say the greatest leadership of them all is if you can be able to lead yourself away from drugs, lead yourself away from violence, brave to lead yourself. Let's teach this boy to say, lead yourself. It is manly to walk away from violence. It is manly to walk away from a fight that will not gonna benefit you. So you need to be able to lead in many ways than one. But the other one, it's that we emphasize as a pillar number 4. It's brave to give and serve. A boy child, many of the time, is a taker than a giver. For instance, let me make an example. If you're walking at night and you see 2 ladies coming your side, you're not gonna mind. You will charm them and greet them and you pass. But if you see 2 boys or 1 boy coming your way, you're looking for the shortest fence so that you may skip it, because you know that this boy child might take your life, might take your cell phone, might take your self-worth, might take your money. You want to run away from him. But we want to teach our boys to say, as a boy, you are not a taker. Sometimes boys, they take anything. If you think about it, most of security companies that we have in our country, we have them because of a boy child and men. If you think of somebody that will going to break in your house, you don't think of a woman that will come and break in your house. You think of a boy child that is going to break in your house. You also put this butlers, you think of a daughter that will going to come out of your house and go to a boy. So you put up this butlers because of a boy child. But we need to teach these boys to use that testosterone power in a positive way, to protect, to be able to give and serve to the society. So that as a boy child, you don't break anything that the infrastructure that the municipality has put there. You don't break anything. You don't steal computers from schools, but you protect those things. You protect other people. You give back to the society. I think it is very much important that as older bulls, let's show that, not by saying, by leading them into projects like, let's go paint a house of a granny. Let's go paint an old age home. Let's go fix that place. Let's do something in the society. Let's go clean the park. In that way, the boy child will see that it is important for me to give and serve But the last one is brave to produce. This is, for me, when I speak about this, it breaks my heart, because boys have copped out. boys have given up in really pursuing anything in life, in producing anything in life. Boys, most of the time, they're not creating anything, they are consuming most of the thing. But it is us as fathers, it is us as mentors to say, how do we teach the boys to be able to give back to the society, to be able to produce? We need to be very intentional in teaching them to do those things. So in our organization, we have a saying that says, preparation is better than repairing. If we prepare boys now using these 5 pillars, we don't have to repair by using prison. There's more money. Lucky Dube, he prophesies, he says they won't build no schools anymore, but they will build more prison. We're trying to repair a boy child. We're trying to repair men by taking them to prison, by taking them to rehabilitation centers. But I believe as men that are men enough, men that are men of purpose, let's rise up and do something. It is upon us. Unfortunately, most men are ballless. We need men with balls that will be able to rise up and says, it cannot happen in our time, it cannot happen in our generation, it cannot happen in my society, it cannot happen in my street. There's no boys that will go aside. There's no boys that will misbehave. As a man, I will stand up. It will take men with balls to stand up. The other time I was watching this documentary, it takes 12 lions to take down a buffalo bull down, and it will take them about 6 hours. But the other time I was amazed when I see two hyena approaching this bull. When they went to this bull, they didn't go to the head, they didn't go to the body because they were small. They went to these big balls of this bull and they pulled this bull. And what happened to this bull? It just fell down because the balls have been taken away. I said to man, let's rejuvenate our balls. Let's come together and hold hands together and close the doors of prisons, close the doors of rehabilitation center. Let's be men and rise up and do something in the society, because if we don't do anything about boy child now, we are in trouble. We'll continue to have men abusing women. It will take men with balls. May men with balls rise up and do something in our society. This society needs those big bulls that says, not in our time, not in my generation, that this thing will happen. I will stand up and mentor boy child. I'll stand up and start a squad of boys. I'll be an uncle with balls that will help I'll be an uncle that will take care of my needs. I'll be an uncle that will be protecting a boy child. I'll be a man of purpose that will rise up in our time and say, how do I protect a boy child, so that we don't have boys that will die, will end up in prison, will end up in rehabilitation center. So I want to put this challenge to you. The world is evil today, not because of people that are doing evil, but because of a good people that are doing nothing. As a good man, wherever you are, rise up. Actually, we don't need good men. We need great men. We need great men that will stand up. Good people, you're good for yourself. You see, good is not good enough, but rise up and do something as a man. May the Lord bless you. As you're rising up, as you're getting strength, let's rise up. We need great men that will impact the next generation. Good is not good enough. Let's do something. If we don't do anything, history will judge us. Have a great time. May you be strong as you rise up, as we close prisons, as we close rehabilitation center by taking care of a boy child. You can make history. Have a great time. A hope for a boy child.
Sure. Thank you so much, Ntate Joshua Mtanyelwa. Thank you so much. I thank you so much on behalf of everybody that was listening to you. And when we do take care of the boy child, it contributes towards making society a better place. because we're going to close all those doors of prison, all those doors of ignorance, and hope that we raise a generation of great boys that will become great men. I really appreciated you setting the context as to where this thing comes from. Too often, we just catch it by the tail and we don't remember that it comes from the roots. And if you do not take it from the source, you may just miss it. I'm going to unmute everybody now so that they can give you a beautiful round of applause before we get ready for the next talk that's going to be even as inspiring as your talk, I hope. That's going to be the one that talks to do not allow your erection to determine your direction. That one is coming up at 3 o'clock. But on behalf of everybody that is